The New York Yankees, who, if this show was yesterday, I would be talking about being in last place in their division, tied for last. But what separates that discussion from yesterday to today is they get a 6-3 win over the Colorado Rockies, and now they're a game up on the Boston Red Sox. Yes, Fox Sports 980, 95.9 FM is home for the Boston Red Sox, but they are now a game up on the Red Sox for last place. But if you're a Yankees fan, you're not too happy about that. And one of the things that I found amusing, and this was something that I came across last month, right around the 21st, I believe it was, of June, Hal Steinbrenner, was doing his monthly radio show with Michael Kay, and they discussed about the Yankees fans' anger. And there was a couple of things that I took away from that. Is that a lot of the discussion around the Yankees' failures or success this year has revolved around Aaron Judge and being on the IL. The Yankees are 30-19 with Aaron Judge in the lineup, and 20-24 with Aaron Judge out of the lineup. Now, you know, he spent a lot of time on the IL. He did take batting practice the other day. There is still no time frame for Aaron Judge to come back. But this season, you take a look at the standings, and they're 9 games back of the Rays, 7 games back of the Orioles. They're 2 behind the Blue Jays, and a game up on the Red Sox in their division. Now, they don't have the luxury of playing in the American League Central, where the Minnesota Twins are leading the division, being a game above 500. But either way, even if they were leading the division at a game over 500, Yankee fans are not going to be happy with that kind of showing. So one of the things that I took away from that was, I don't understand why Yankees fans are so upset with us being, at the time they were third in the standings, with the way that everything has played out and the amount of players that we've had on the IL and the importance of the players that we've had on IL. I think we're right where we need to be, and this is still a playoff team. We will turn it around. We're working hardest to turn it around, which is fine and dandy. But then they fire their hitting coach. They bring on a new hitting coach, Sean Casey. And one of the first things that Sean Casey really said coming on as the new hitting coach for the New York Yankees is, I understand this is New York. And this isn't just the New York media. This is Yankee fans. Any season that you do not win a World Series is considered a failure when it comes to a Yankee, when it comes to being a Yankee fan. If you do not win a World Series, it's a failure. Now, I can tell you, in my honest opinion, that I don't think it's a failure of a season if you don't win the World Series. But I do believe that the Yankees are stuck in this no man's world that no one wants to be in. They have talent. The talent's underproducing. They're not able to win without Aaron Judge on the field. And it feels like their manager, his voice is falling on deaf ears. Now, I like Aaron Boone as the person. I do think he's a player's coach, player's manager. But I feel like there needs to be more change that Steinbrenner is not going to make. And he's heard it all. He goes, I am not my father. I understand there's rumblings saying that I'm not my father. One of the other things that he said while doing his radio interview with Michael Kay was, one way that I am like my father is that I don't like losing. I want to win, and I want to be in the postseason. But then he followed that up by saying, I truly believe that as long as you make the playoffs, anything can happen. It doesn't matter if you win your division or make it as a wild card. That's what separates Hal and George. George wants a winner throughout the regular season, throughout the postseason. He wants a winner. The Yankees aren't going to plummet. They're not going to be bad like the Orioles for a few years, or the Cubs for a few years, or the Rays, or this team. Any team that you can think that has had their upbringing through tanking for a few years, like the Cubs winning a World Series after being so miserably bad for a few years. Like how good the Orioles are right now after being bad for quite a few years and getting those high draft picks. But here's the thing. The Yankees have had some good picks and some good trades over the years. They've had some good young players. For me, on the outside looking in, one, there doesn't look like there's any accountability. Two, it looks like the players are running the show. And you know what they say, when you let prisoners run the asylum, you get what you get. And it looks like the Yankees players are running the show. There is no day-to-day managing. There is no day-to-day coaching. Now, you expect these grown men to be able to handle their business because this is their job, but at the same time, there's a reason you have a pitching coach and a hitting coach and a manager. They're supposed to be able to help tweak things day in, day out. Why a guy like Austin Romine was batting it up, and then all of a sudden, he's not. You know, like IKF, who came out hot, and then all of a sudden he cooled off a little bit. And there was just a little hitch in his swing. You got to coach him up on that. Or maybe there's an issue with the overall philosophy. Now, I'm not going to take credit for this because I'm not a big prospect guy when it comes to baseball, because there's just too many names to try to learn. So many different moving parts inside of an organization, single A, double A, triple A. It's hard to get a feel for all these guys. So I'm not going to take this as my own. But I was speaking to somebody off air who is a hitting coach for youth, teens and under, so 19, 18, 17, 16, that said, I really liked the way that the 2023 MLB draft went, because a lot of the kids that were drafted are contact hitters. And I think that's one thing that is woefully pained the Yankees and Yankees fans, is you take a look at what they've done even during their hot seasons where they've won 100 games, 90 plus games. They were carried by the long ball. Then they get off to the postseason where rotations get shortened, bullpens get shortened, and you're not facing the fourth or fifth man in the rotation. You're facing the ace for the second time in a series. You're facing to the number 2 guy, the number 3 guy. You're no longer getting that fourth or fifth end of the rotation type of pitcher every 4 or 5 games. The Yankees have struggled to hit in the postseason, but we're not even talking about the postseason right now. Although, if you look at the wild card standings, they are only a game out of the second wild card, currently held for 2 games by the Toronto Blue Jays. So it's not like this season has been all for nothing. But when Hal Steinbrenner said, I believe it doesn't matter if you win the division or you get in as a wild card, as long as you're a playoff team, you have a chance. And for me, I need to make the playoffs every year. Okay. If I'm talking to George, I need to win the World Series every year. That was the difference. I think there's an change in philosophy that needs to happen, a change in management that needs to happen. but more importantly, a change in general managers. Not saying that Brian Cashman hasn't made some good moves, but it's not paying off this year. Josh Donaldson is not paying off. DJ LeMahieu signing to the big contract. It's not paying off. You may hate me for saying this, but through one season, paying Aaron Judge all that money has not paid off yet. Now, here's the thing. I will say when Aaron Judge is healthy, this is a team that's winning at like a 620 win percentage. 62% of their games they're winning, roughly. Without Aaron Judge, they're 4 games under 500. So I understand the value that Aaron Judge brings to the team. But my team cannot be this drastically bad without Aaron Judge. And one of the ways to change philosophy is to bring on contact hitters. So even without Aaron Judge, you can manufacture run. But with Aaron Judge in the lineup, you get guys that are getting on base. You get guys that are getting in front of Aaron Judge, making that long ball, 19 on the season, mean more when there's men on base. I was watching the other day Moneyball. Now, Moneyball showed the filling of gaps, but it didn't tell you the filling of gaps. You had to be a baseball fan to know that. Yeah, they had Mark Mulder and Barry Zito and Eric Chavez and this guy and that guy. We all knew that they had MVP caliber players like Miguel Tejada and Cy Young players. But what Moneyball showed was the ability to fill the gaps. Getting guys where I don't care if you get a hit or you get walked, as long as you get on base. We care more about on base percentage than your slugging percentage or your overall average. Now, I don't agree with everything that Moneyball pushed forward, but if you have the right pieces in place, the big-time players that make changes, like Aaron Judge, who with on the field, you're 30-19. If you can fill the voids around the field and get those contact hitters, it makes having Aaron Judge more of an MVP candidate and have more of a positive influence on this team. But until that philosophy changes, until that I cannot buy championships, but I try to anyways, mentality changes, until that long ball, chicks dig the long ball, like Ichiro says, changes, that philosophy changes, this Yankees team is going to be stuck going as far as their home run hitters bring them. Now, I'm not going to say they're stuck in mediocrity because there's seasons where they win 90-plus games. But when you're in the AL East, where you have the Rays that are consistently a very good team, when you have the Orioles that are building something for the future, when you have the Jays that look to seem like they might finally put it together and become a consistent playoff team, being good isn't good enough. And if you're a Yankees fan, being good has never been good enough. So while I understand what Hal was trying to say, where, hey, we've been a consistent playoff team, and I believe once we get into playoffs, anything can happen, I understand that. But that's not what a Yankees fan is trying to hear. Are we supposed to hold our breath, putting all our hopes that Aaron Judge will come back from this foot injury and help put us over the top? Or maybe we need to do some self-reflection and realize that, yeah, making the postseason every year is a good thing. but making it to the World Series or the ALDS or the ALCS, that's even better. I'm not content with being a postseason contender. I'm content with being a World Series contender. What are the things I need to do to change to get there? I think one of it is cleaning house. Now, if you have a owner that's willing to spend, flipping house could be easier said than done. One way I think that they can take a look at this and try to make an improvement for this year and then self-reflect after this year is be on the lookout for Cody Bellinger. Signed a 1-year deal with the Cubs, a left-handed bat, has really picked it up over the last couple of weeks as a hitter. The Yankees need a left-handed bat in the lineup. They need a consistent producer in the lineup on a 1-year deal, which is manageable money-wise, which it doesn't matter to the Yankees anyways. But that would be a great fit to get consistent play on the offensive side of the ball, and he can play all 3 spots in the outfield, which will really help fill a void with all those injuries that you deal with. So that is a name to look out for on the trade deadline, which is just approaching right around the corner. But afterwards, after the season, I think there needs to be some heavily reflecting. Now, obviously, they start to feel like something's going on because for the first time in their career, they fired somebody mid-season. It happened to be the hitting coach and bring in Sean Casey. But maybe, just maybe, they're not as ignorant as we are led to believe. Watching the day-to-day operation where Domingo Germán throws 7 great innings and gives up 1 earned run, but I'm going to pull him out because I want him to go out on a high note. No, I want to win the game. I want to win the game. I don't want to go out on a high note. I want to win the game. I want to go into the All-Star break on a high note.